Welcome to Outside Game, the podcast. I am the host with the most, Keith Bulluck. Riding shotgun is my main man, Don Povia.
Yo, what's up, Mr. Monday Night? You got it. You got it a first take that time, man. It's been a while, but you just roll with it.
It's been a while, man. I think that we had Illuminati on last time, and he was just throwing me, having a guest, and kind of felt off. I didn't have my normal swagger. You know what I'm saying? That was when I was really rusty. So we're good.
All right, sounds good. But we are still locked in place. How's Nashville doing? I hear it's opening up down there. You getting out? You going to the bars? You?
Nah, man. So what's today? May 11th or something like that? Hold on. Yes, May 11th. And I say that to say that Nashville, my part of Tennessee, which is Brentwood, which is about 15 miles out. I think they open in the bars May 1st, like restaurants as well, 50% capacity. I definitely got a call on that first day. The bars are open for me to come out and, have one. I was telling you before, my East Coast mentality is still like, nah, I got everything I need right here. I'm going to let you guys go test it out. Let me know how that goes in a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? So now here we are, the 11th. And downtown Nashville proper is scheduled to open up on Friday. No live music in the bars, but yeah.
That'll be the quietest. What is that? Broadway down there in Nashville, the quietest Broadway's ever been.
Yeah, but not every bar owner is opening their bars. There's still like some bar owners that's just like feel like it's just too soon. Some people, obviously, I understand both sides of the thing. Look, if you feel you need to get back to work, do what you got to do. Wear a mask if you feel you need to wear a mask. If you're not wearing a mask, just stay away from me. You know what I'm saying? And, whatever. I don't know.
The whole mask thing, going back and going out and hanging out and being 6 feet apart and social distancing, like, it's so hard to grasp. Like when you finally get to do it, like how are you gonna feel? You're gonna feel uncomfortable. You're gonna bump elbows instead of like dapping and stuff like that. Like, man, I'm in the supermarket yesterday and I got my 2 little ones with me, and my wife's made some masks, and the little one's walking around, and the elastic on the mask pops. So the little one, the 4-year-old, she's got a broken mask, and she's running around the store like a maniac, and I felt like a pariah. Like a social pariah, like my kids running around. I don't know. I felt the eyeballs on me though, And so this is kind of where I'm thinking going out. Like, yeah, you have the option to wear the mask maybe when you get back out there, but if you don't, like, are you going to be like villainized for not wearing the mask?
But those people are looking at you like, oh, those are the motherfuckers that are having the kids out without masks, getting all the old people sick. You know what I'm saying? Even though you're trying, shit happens, but. Yeah, I feel you, man. Like, I feel people just need to do what's best for them and do what's comfortable for them, man. And if it was that easy, the world would be a better place. But
weird. What's funny too? They had about 3 lanes that were 60-year-old plus. Like the 60-year-olds are getting their own like express lanes, and there's nobody in those lanes. And I'm waiting like 5 deep because then they put these squares. So now you're all the way back in the lanes here. But I mean, everything is regulated and different. But yeah, when they start opening up, I mean, I'm going to be curious how it goes down there. I just saw on Twitter that Clearwater Beach, Florida, there's a bunch of people out protesting that gyms aren't open. Do you see that? And they're out there like protesting by doing like calisthenics and stuff like that.
Yeah, their workouts in front of the gym. I drove past my gym, Lifetime Fitness up here, and it doesn't look like it's opening anytime soon. Like, it was desolate. Like, that place was definitely closed. So it's just odd. And then, obviously, but not everybody knows. I'm opening, in the process of opening this cafe, this Just Love Coffee Cafe. And we're probably about 5 to 6 weeks out. So, we still have to go through all the motions of ordering your equipment, doing your social media plan, budgeting and all these different things. But as an owner, first-time owner, like, I'm keeping an eye on everything. I'm hoping, as everything opens up now, everything goes smooth and everything. But shoot, there is obviously that possibility that it doesn't. And then, what do I do come, June 10 or whenever it's about to rock? So it's just a whole interesting situation.
How has that affected the construction and the actual build out, the physical build out of the space?
It hasn't at all. Being down here in Nashville and in the Brentwood area, it hasn't at all, because where my Just Love is going, it's actual whole, it's called Northside. It's called McEwen Northside Plaza. So a whole plaza is being built. So with office buildings, restaurants, hotels, other spaces. So it definitely has not, construction hasn't stopped. I'd be curious to see how much progress the airport has made here, because I know that's a new construction. And there's this place downtown that's going up, well, everything's going up downtown, but Nashville Yards. So I don't think construction has stopped much here.
Well, speaking of stoppage, sports, what are you doing to fill that void of everything? No baseball, all the playoffs are done. NFL draft got just a big old cluster F. What are you keeping occupied with?
It's been so much, right? I went back and beat Spider-Man on PlayStation 4. I beat Gods of War. I started Doom. I started Call of Duty again. I got good at that again. And then now I'm recently on Assassin's Creed. Obviously we both have our kids. I get active on my bike. Like, I feel like there's not even enough activities to, put into the time. Like, sleep is all off. What's your patterns like? What have you had going on to replace the lack there of sports?
Yeah, I see you're up early. I think the opposite. I want to sleep in. I don't know what it is. I'm so used to waking up at like 6 o'clock, right around there, just with or without the alarm. But lately I'm like, 8:30, I'm still in bed. I don't want to move. The kids are kind of moving. The oldest one is kind of been sleeping late too. The little one, it's like me and my wife just know it's just automatic. Like, all right, she's up early. One day it's her, one day it's me. We just go like on and off. But like sleep wise, like I told her this morning, I'm like, I'm just tired. She's like, well, how late you up? I'm like, well, I binge watch. I finished watching Briar Patch, and I read like 5 chapters of this book. So, I'm kind of filling it with a little bit of binge watching. I've been really watching what we talked about, Final Dance. I watched a couple episodes of that, but I've kind of banked them so I can just watch like 3 in a row. But I've been watching the new season of Vice, The Dark Side of the Ring. Did you catch last year's?
Yeah, I saw a few last year. So who's on it? Who are they featuring this year? This season?
So the first one was Chris Benoit, who a murder-suicide with his wife and kid, right? So that was a 2-part, which was deep. And that was, my wife's like, how do you get me sucked in? She liked that one, and like like the Von Erich one from last year she was into. But then the two I just watched was Dave Schultz, right? Dr. D, who, slapped John Stossel around and basically got blacklisted from the WWF or WWE. And then the last one was about the UWF, which was kind of like, imagine like.
I almost remember that one. Almost.
It was, kind of, they were pilfering all the stars as their contracts were getting up from WWE. It was like early 90s. But, it was called, the subtitle was like Cocaine and Cowboy Boots, because they had this.
Was it based out of Nashville, the UWF? Oh, that's TNT. I'm thinking of TNT wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Cocaine and Cowboy Boots. Carry on.
Yeah. So it was this little Jewish guy that just wanted to be a wrestling promoter, make himself the star, and just had a obsession with ostrich boots and cocaine, and kind of ran everything into the ground. Like, one of the main guys that kind of was with him the whole time that was in the show was one of the Killer Bees, right? B. Brian Blair from the Killer Bees. It was funny. Like, I guess Andre the Giant's WWF contract came up. They signed Andre the Giant. He walks out on TV, does this thing. Vince McMahon calls up the next day, has Andre back on WWF like TV the next day. Like, nah, you're not doing that.
Sabotage. Vince McMahon got to keep the stars.
Well, apparently this guy went to him like, yeah, Vince, you take the East and you take the Midwest and I'll take like LA and the West Coast. And Vince was like, get the hell out of here. And that just stuck in this guy's craw. And he's just like, forget it. Like I'm going to do this. I'm going to ruin it. But yeah, I mean, it was like kind of like ECW on like a glitzier version. of kind of being an upstart like that, but poorly run. So yeah, I watched a couple of those episodes. Yeah, that like I said, it kind of sucks everybody into that like documentary style. Like I said, I just finished Briar Patch, which was Rosario Dawson, which I told my wife last night, I'm like, man, I got sucked in. She's not a great actress. Like, actually, she's kind of a bad actress, if you ask me, but I kind of got into that show a little bit. Yeah, it's just been watching TV late at night when I get control of it when the kids aren't, hoarding Disney Plus.
Yeah, man. My kids are on the iPads a lot, but yeah, the NFL draft was a little bit. Shit was different. Obviously, it was different. There's nothing else on, so of course you're gonna watch it. Like that, talking about something that sucks you in, man. That draft does, because it's kind of boring, man. Like it's really kind of boring, and they did their best to put as many fillers in, and make it as exciting as they could with Goodell. I think they should have had more former players up there. They could have had more former players come in, because I did something like a live pre-draft thing with the Titans. So, as they have the coaches, I think they should have had zoomed into different former players' houses and stuff like that, have them announce draft picks, or even have more interaction with the draft pick. And with the space fillers, they could have had like the first interaction with the draft pick and the coach, and then the interview right there. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, it was a first time, but shit, NFL has a lot of money. They could have put more thought into it.
What's funny though too? Like, I've been to a handful of drafts, both NBA and NFL, and people are like, "Oh, that's so cool." I'm like, actually, it's really boring. Like TV, at least you get kind of the stats and the overload, right? You're actually in the arena, or you're in the stadium, whatever, and there's nothing. Like, you just kind of absorb it. So to your point, like, they probably had a lot of opportunity that they could have got creative with it, and kind of dropped the ball on it. Yeah, it's the first time, but you kind of knew what it was, and you got the money and hopefully the brain power.
Like, yeah, and that's what I'm saying, like the brain power. So, being working closely to you, like the last decades, like I've seen the things that you've put together, things that you've thought about, even that maybe not even been activated. So, like,
most of them weren't.
Oh, but I'm saying, if the NFL came, was like, yo, here's a budget of $5 million, $50 million, yo, you're gonna crush it. You know what I'm saying?
And the thing was, like, so you laugh about that, but I mean, I remember some NHL pitches and some other things that I did, like, and they just kind of were like, no, this is dumb, right? Pass it along. And then 5 years later, somebody else is doing it, and I'll go through my old files. I'm like, oh, there it is, right there. I said it.
You know what? I can vouch for that. That's a fact. Like, you still do that to this day. Like, I've said some things like, yo, I want to do this, and then you bring up this old file. Oh yeah, here's something that I did for, and they didn't like it. So here.
Yeah, or it's already written. It's just nobody wants to be the first to get out there, and then some spunky upstart probably does it, and then the big guys come in and say, all right, we'll throw a lot of money and do it bigger and better, but we're not going to like dip our toe in the water until somebody else jumps in, which is stupid. Especially the NFL. You should be on the forefront of that stuff.
Yeah. And like speaking of funky upstarts, that's kind of, we like to hang around in that area and whatnot. Like from this whole COVID thing, the economy is definitely taking a hit, with these PPP loans and so on and so forth. The small business owner and stuff are getting squeezed out. How do you, not that you're not like a financial expert or nothing like that, but like, what do you think that does for like the entrepreneur, the creator, the one that, what I'm saying? Because I figure they're using that money to survive right now. You know what I mean? And,
I probably said it last time, is that I think everyone's big focus was get out there and do more and, and be live and do that. And I said, like, they never actually like pumped the brakes and thought what's going to work and what's not. They just assume like there's this void. People are going to have this void. They're going to have a lot of spare time. Let me throw it out there. And it's shit. So, but, with a couple of the projects that I've been working on, everybody's like, hey, did this hit you hard? I was like, actually, it gave me time to really refine like what we're doing. So, things that were particularly associated with NFL and NBA, it's like, all right, we were rushing to get to market and do it this way. Like, let's spend this time because we can hop on calls like this and Zoom calls and really just like, focus group some of the things that we're doing. I think I've been trying to use the time to do that, like, stay afloat, but the things that are in the hopper, make sure that they're really buttoned up so that when things get going, they're ready to go, not just trying to rush to get things out there for the sake of getting them out there. So I think it's kind of pumping the brakes, doing it right. I think the biggest thing is you don't know what the new norm is going to be, or even what the atmosphere of the environment is going to be. So I think it's control what you can control. I mean, we were just talking that, CFL and talking about the NFL, right? XFL goes down, CFL probably going to cancel their season. And then there's talk that the league might not even come back. And people are like, well, shit, there's a lot of, guys that are going to be out of jobs, but it also kind of creates this void where the XFL was trying to fill before, that somebody can possibly come in there if they could do it right, see the opportunity, and, kind of do something positive. So where that negative is, figuring out, what is going to be able to fill it, what are people going to want to fill it, how are people behaviorally going to start acting? I think that's one thing I always talk about is that, when people come with new products to market, a lot of times that necessitates people changing their behavior, right? A new app, a new this, a new that, right? You got a bunch of apps on your phone, you probably use 5 of them, right? So if somebody's putting a new app out there, it's not going to, because behaviorally they're not used to doing that. So figuring out how people are going to act, how you kind of piggyback on that new behavioral side of it and kind of ride that wave instead of coming in trying to fill the void with, one, the unknown, or two, trying to get people that just got sort of reprogrammed to act a certain way to act, either revert back or do something else. So yeah, I'm kind of like up in the air right now, but people just need to like be smarter, be more patient, and use this time to let those creative juices flow and figure out the best way to to do it.
Yeah, I feel like this is like you just spoke about. We spoke earlier. This is a great time to create, but create what? Like, if you're in that space, create what? Even you and I, like, back in March, we're like, okay, this is a good idea. Let's go ahead and just do it. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't do it, and knowing us, we would have did it for a few weeks, and then we would have like kind of fell off because we would have saw or found out that was or was not the thing to do. You know what I mean?
I had this very conversation. This kid was going into grad school. He wants to be an agent, wants to do sports marketing, wants to pick my brain. He's a friend of a former Olympian that I know. Or actually, I'm sorry, it's her nephew. And he did his research. He's saying, you did this, you did this. Oh, tell me, you talk about this content. I've seen you mention it before. What are you doing in this COVID environment with your own podcast? I said, and why were you different, or how were you trying to be different? I was like, the fact that we're not trying to get out there and do something every week for the sake of doing something every week, I think is very much smart, right? And I said, because the reason that we were different is when we came out with this plan, and the idea of doing this was to complement these real life events that we were going to do. I said, that whole thing just blew up, and we don't know when it's coming back, right? So this was only one half of the equation. The podcast was only one half of the equation for the other thing. And that's why we were different, is because we're able to marry these live events with the online stuff that goes back and forth. So, I told him almost like what I just said, instead of just us rushing and saying, we need to get something up, right? Let's reevaluate our why, right? We always talk about with transition, like, why are we doing this? Well, originally we were doing this because we're building this event series. All right. So now it's like, all right, why are we doing this? Well, let's kind of figure out where that whole thing is going to go. We don't know yet. So why rush to put something up that could change overnight?
Right. And to speak about like things that over COVID, getting things done, can we talk about the player impact merge here? Or
yeah.
That's something that, that you got like transition put together over a COVID, and you could speak more to the merger with transition and the player impact that was just took place.
Yeah, so actually there were 2 mergers. There was this guy, Peter Stein, that was working with transition for a bit. He was sort of a VC type of guy working in the digital space, had something called SporTech Ventures. So SporTech was bringing in a lot of like new kind of startup companies that were coming to him. Peter realized, yeah, I have a certain element and a certain network, but when it comes to really the services part of it, I'd have to rely on somebody like Transition. So part of that was kind of merging with Peter, kind of bringing that together. So sort of a VC, sport tech, working and servicing less on the athlete side and more on like the athlete business or the sports app or business type side of it. The second thing was the player's impact, which you spoke on a panel down in Miami with a handful of other players. Marcus Colston is one of their advisors. I think Doug Flutie was at the Miami event, so bigger names that they have. And really what that is more sort of an investment group for athletes and really focused on the educational component of it. But same issue that Peter had is like, okay, we have a certain skill set, but we don't have a certain creative skill set. So what we decided to do was partner this one really on a project type basis is let's find athletes that have a business or a product or a model that is either, pre-seed or seed or, all these different raise amounts, that's more your world. But that need these other creative or strategic services to get them to the next level. So we actually opened up an application process for guys that already have something in the works. So a lot of times when you and I are talking with people, we're like, hey, what are you going to do next? What's your next step? What's your transition? And kind of drawing it and try to draw it out of them. But for this, it's more like, all right, guys that already know what their vision is, but need a better sense of putting it together and taking it to the next step.
And for me, man, just because I was in the whole beginning process and thought process of transition, I always knew, and I think I always said that it was going to take that type of person, that type of player that already has their vision in line, already has their ducks in a row, but just needs the help in these different specific spaces to help them execute their plan. And the fact that, that to be in that position to really work with people that already have that going for them, that is huge, because it's hard to develop someone and make someone's mind up for them, I guess I'm trying to say, because nobody really knows a lot of guys don't know what they want to do. And that waste, I found in the beginning, we didn't necessarily waste time, but we spent a lot of time with guys that we were trying to push them in a direction and, they didn't have one for themselves.
Yeah, it's like convincing them what's good for them. Actually, I think the Just Love is a good example, right? It's kind of, I'm able to kind of come in and help you out with, certain pieces that, that I'm better at, right? So it's like, all right, let's talk a little bit more of the communication side. And I think that's really where I envision this program to go. It's, people might not need every different piece that we're offering. What pieces do they need that we can provide some expertise that's going to fill the void in a manner that's very much in line with like what we've always talked about, and that's like the core values of the company too. So
man, that's crazy. We just thought of another blueprint for transition to use based off my Just Love. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny too, because you're like, all right, we need a social guy. Well, hey, we know a social guy that's looking for work and, that worked in the sports space and stuff's falling apart. Let's bring him in, pick his brain. So I think as much as it is just, me or some of the guys that I'm surrounding with, it's also our collective network, yours included, that it's like, all right, we need somebody who knows this. Like, people trust us and we trust people. And we can say, all right, come on in and give us some thought on it. So yeah, I think it very much a blueprint. All right, you want a franchise? Like, here we go. And, talking a little bit about like what you and I are doing with that, the fact is that if Don Povia went in and wanted to, franchise a Just Love Coffee, they hand me a blueprint that's pretty tried and true and I could do it. But the fact is, like, you're doing it in a market where you were highly visible on live TV every week for 10 years. You're a known commodity there. It's a little bit different. So it's how do we take that stuff that is relevant to that business and really personalize it to your face. And also what we're talking about is like how we also do it so that you're rubbing off on the brand and vice versa, right? You'll get yours, you'll get the rub off from them, as a business person and as you kind of expand what your basis and background is. But really what we want is for you to be able to shine a spotlight onto your business and be able to push people in that direction and gain fans and customers of that, not just fans of Keith Bulluck, fans of Keith Bulluck's Just Love Coffee and McEwen opening in late June of 2020.
Yes. Other ventures to follow: craft beer, Bully's Burgers. Nah, psych. Nah, but for real, we'll see.
So yeah, we've been talking. Maybe we'll do some live shows right there in the studio. We'll build a little studio in there. Get some friends come through. But yeah, man, I think we're like, yeah, let's see what we can fill here, and we're over a half hour, so it might be a good opportunity to wrap up a bit. I know we got some business to take care of off of this, but yeah, let's try to get something on the books next week and keep it going.
Yeah, man, it's good to catch up. Anybody listening, definitely shoot some suggestions of topics or anything you want to hear us BS about on the outside game.
Yeah, what's that?
Do we have a mailbox?
Yeah. TOG at theoutsitegame.com.
Nice.
Yeah. Or Keith at theoutsitegame.com if that's easier for you. You were just saying, though, speaking of topics, you said you're just like mouthing off on Twitter in the mornings. Is that what you're doing? Let's bring something in there. Somebody you're arguing with, invite them on the show. We'll do a little debate.
Twitter topics.
I got something good too. One of our old friends that actually moderated one of the panels that you did in Chicago was running for mayor down in Florida in a nonpartisan race. I saw this happening. I won't spill the beans too much, but a former Bleacher Report NFL writer is running for mayor. I said, all right, it's nonpartisan. I can jump into that, help you out a little bit. Maybe we'll see about getting him on and
cool.
and talking local politics with some sports figures.
Hey, that would be cool because Florida always has some very interesting topics to talk about. Ask about Florida Man.
Yeah, Florida Man. That's going to be Tom Brady now. Florida Man on the beat. Oh, wait, was he in the park, right? Like working out in the park? Everything's closed.
I missed it.
Yeah.
I know he tried to get into the Devil Rays, the Tampa Bay Rays stadium.
Yeah,
or something like that.
No, he was in a park working out or something like that, and he gets the park ranger, the local cop came over and said, sorry, the park's closed, and Tom Brady got kicked out of the public park, right? And I'm thinking, man, you got Deflategate, right? You got Spygate. you got park.
He got all that money and he don't got a gate, a house with a gate.
You got Parkgate. Like, he don't care about rules, man. He's Tom Brady, does whatever he wants.
Tommy B.
Did you ever sack him?
I don't think I did. Nope. I hit him. I got some hits on the court. I might have. I don't think I did though. I might have got a half a sack. I don't think I got credit for it. I think Kevin Carter and Javon got credit for that sack. But I was in on it.
So one more thing. Should I call you out for your sweatshirt or should we just let it pass?
Yeah. Titans.
So that's Coach Bully up top, huh?
Yeah, Steelers, Titans. I got this when I was at camp. I ain't buy no Steelers stuff.
Steelers hired him to coach, man. Where you at, Titans? Step up, man. All right. Well, let's do it. All right, Keith at theoutsitegame.com, Don at theoutsitegame.com, theoutsitegame.com is the website. So until next week, I'm Don. That's Keith. Hopefully next week. I'm Don. That's Keith.
Peace.
Later.